prayer. And then we're going to introduce special guests, and they're going to come down. They're going to lead us in the pledge to the nation's flag, and then the pledge to the Texas flag. And then we've got a couple special recognitions. Actually, they're not listed on the agenda. So when we come up on those, I'll introduce both topics. At this time, Suzanne.
Thank you, sir. If you would all please join me in prayer. Father God, we come to you today with humble hearts, lifting our city and the people of our city. We ask you for your guidance and wisdom as we approach a time of change and decision. As our municipal elections approach, we pray that you would lead all those who are running for office with integrity, compassion, and a deep sense of responsibility to serve our whole community, and grant the people of our city discernment in their choices, electing leaders who will be servant leaders for the common good, promoting justice and fostering unity in the face of challenges. As this council gathers tonight, we ask for your grace that we may have the courage to embrace the changes ahead while remaining mindful of the needs of all of our residents. Lord, we ask that you bless this city with peace, understanding, and a spirit of cooperation, even amid differences. May your love and wisdom guide each decision, and may all people in this community feel heard, valued, and respected as we navigate this time of transition. Continue to protect our first responders and all who give of themselves freely for the care of others. We trust in you, knowing that you are always at work in our lives and in our city. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thanks, Suzanne. This time I'm going to invite, we have Highlands Elementary Student Council that's with us tonight. They're currently having their teddy bear drive, and the teddy bears will be donated to the Fort Bend County Courthouse and given out to children when they're adopted. The council representatives are considered role models and leaders among their school peers, and they're expected to act respectfully, responsibly, and with integrity. At this time, I'd like to ask their teacher sponsor, Ms. Deborah Yakas. Deborah, if you could come down, please. Their president, Arissa Khan. Arissa. Vice President Sage Keller, Secretary Raina Trong, and Historian Raina Doctor. If you guys come stand down here. And I think, young lady, you're going to lead us in the pledge to the nation's flag and the pledge to Texas. There's the nation's flag right there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas
flag over here.
I pledge allegiance. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank y'all. Stand right here, council members. Let's get a picture. Council members, go ahead and come down. I think it'd be easier. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Some of you may have noticed that late last week, somebody who was very well known to the city of Sugar Land, Ken Hall, passed away. Ken was known as the Sugar Land Express, and he put up numbers in high school, many of which haven't been broken even today. I wanted to tell you about some of those numbers. He had 11,233 rushing yards. That stood as a national record for almost 60 years. and his 4,045-yard senior season in 1953 still remains untouched in Texas high school football history. He played for Sugar Land High School from 1950 to 53. He played quarterback in a single-wing offense, but his real ability was his speed. And the best performance he had was against Houston Lutheran, where he rushed in one game, he rushed for 520 yards. Put that in perspective. In professional football now, if you have a 100-yard game, you're doing pretty extraordinary. And his was 520. He returned a kickoff and a punt for touchdowns, and even snagged an interception on defense. He went on to play at Texas A&M under legendary coach Paul Bear Bryant. Unfortunately, he was known for his defense, so Ken moved on to another school. He played in the NFL for the Chicago Cardinals, the Houston Oilers, and the St. Louis Cardinals. And tonight we want to honor him with a proclamation. The legacy of Ken Hall, the Sugar Land Express. Whereas Hall, known as the Sugar Land Express, set records in the early 1950s that stood for decades, including 11,232 rushing yards, a national record for nearly 60 years. And his 4,045-yard season in 1953 remains a Texas record, even Texas high school record, even today. His football journey continued at Texas A&M under Coach Paul Bear Bryant before playing in the Canadian Football League and the NFL for the Chicago Cardinals, Houston Oilers, and the St. Louis Cardinals. Hall's contributions were honored through inductions into the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame, the National High School Football Hall of Fame, and the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, along with the naming of Kenneth Hall Stadium in Missouri City, Texas. Tonight, we honor Ken Hall as one of our Sugar Land finest and one of our very own. This is given on behalf of myself and City Council. And we'll take a moment of silence to honor Ken Hall. Thank you. And now we've got special recognition. He doesn't know that I'm going to do this, but where's Officer Frank Washington? Frank, come on down. Some of you may not know, but Frank was honored for giving out 60 DWIs in 1 year. Now, you know, people would ask, why is that important? Because that protects the people of Sugar Land. And the more of those people that we can get off the streets, the better off we're going to be. And we wanted to thank you. We wanted to say it in front of people and honor you and thank you for your service and congratulate you and wish you all the best. Frank, don't go away. Come back down here. We'll get a picture with council.
I do just want to say, though, I couldn't do it without my good team and the leadership that I have at the PD. So I got a good team around me. I got good leadership, so they support what I do. So I couldn't do anything without them. So I just want to say thank you to them.
We come down. Officers, please. Here we go. Council.
Like this, oh, yeah.
We're going to move on now to item number 2, public comment. Again, on the public comment side, only on active agenda items and only on items, and you can only speak on the agenda item itself. I give you one warning, and we'll escort you out. If you don't go out, we'll help you, and we'll bar you for 60 days. So at this time, I think we have a couple people that want to speak. Our first guest is Amina Ishak. She wants to speak on item number 3A.
Well, first, I would like to say thanks to Suzanne Watley for that beautiful prayer saying that you would like everyone in the community to be heard and seen. On that note, I want to request that we pray and take a moment of silence for the over 500 women, children, and men that were murdered last night in Gaza.
I'm sorry.
On March 18th, as we were all
Cut the mic, please. Officer, if you could escort our guest.
Israel broke the ceasefire agreement and are exterminating innocent human beings with our money as we speak, yet again. The least we can do as fellow humans and as our elected officials, send them some heartfelt prayers, just as you do for everyone else.
Our next guest is Sarwar Khan, and he'd like to speak on item number 3A. What's Sugar Khan?
Representative Suzanne Watley, I appreciate you often being the voice of reason in City Council. You agreed with me the last time I spoke during public comment that it is my First Amendment right to come up and be silent. I respectfully ask you let me use the rest of my time to stand in a moment of silence with Palestine.
I'm sorry, this doesn't
in
have
light
anything.
of the atrocities
Cut the
that
mic,
occurred last
please.
night by
Cut the mic, please. Officers, if you'd escort her. You can step away on your own, or we'll escort you out. Thank you. Thank you, officers. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the council? We're going to move on to item number 3, consent agenda. These items are going to be taken as one motion, unless the council member wants to pull an item, in which case we'll take that as a separate motion. Got a motion by Watley, got a second by Kermali. You'll vote this time, please. Hand vote, right hand. It passes 7-0. Thank you, council members. We'll move on now to item number 4, workshop 4A, review of and discussion on the 2024 Smart Financial Center and Sugar Land annual report. And we have with us a special guest. We have with us Miss Elise Scally, our general manager, and she has with her, we have Anna Rodriguez, our community development coordinator. Anna, are you going to introduce it for us?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
So good evening, Mayor and City Council. Elise Scally has served as the general manager with Smart Financial Center since September of 2022. Since joining, she has overseen an impressive 260 shows and the sale of over 770,000 tickets, contributing to the venue's continued success. Tonight, she will present the annual report for 2024 and provide insight into what's ahead for 2025.
Hello. Good evening, Council.
Elise.
Hi, Mayor. Good to see you all.
Welcome.
Yes, as always, exciting things to share with you all about Smart Financial Center. Before we look ahead, let's take a look back at 2024. Let's see. There we go. So 2024 brought us 109 total performances, over 300,000 attendees, $24 million in ticket sales revenue, over 115,000 cars, and Smart Financial Center is ranked number 25 worldwide by the publication Pollstar. If you'll recall the numbers from 2023, you'll notice that 2024 was down in all categories, but not by much. Really, the 2024 numbers are more in line with what we saw in 2019 as well as 2022. Overall, the touring music industry in 2024 was a little bit of a down year, and that is sort of the effects of the COVID rebound, artists not touring as often in that year, as well as a major election year. Generally, we don't see as many events in an election year. But we do expect 2025 to rebound quite well, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Look at our fan demographics, our audience coming to Smart Financial Center. This data tells us that our main age group is 35 to 44 and mostly skewing female purchasers. Our largest audiences are coming from the surrounding cities. But this only makes up about 20% of our total tickets purchased. So the other 80% are coming from outside of our immediate cities. Some of our top performers from 2024, we had some great Kevin Hart shows. Jerry Seinfeld returned. He opened the building. He was the first performer back in 2017, so it was fantastic to welcome him back. You'll notice that 3 of the top 6 here are comedy. Comedy does really well here at Smart Financial Center. And then the next 3 is a very diverse lineup of reggaeton, indie pop, and the one and only Barry Manilow. Something new for us in 2024, we introduced the Mercedes-Benz of Sugar Land Lounge, a newly renovated space on our 2nd floor. Some beautiful pictures for you. The lounge renovation was completed in July of last year. It was a $720,000 CapEx investment by ATG Entertainment to modernize the lounge. It's a music-inspired space and sort of a one-of-a-kind design. The lounge services the grand suites and now allows for general ticket buyers to add on an upgrade up into the lounge as part of their ticket purchase. The renovation added more seating capacity up in the lounge. It has a fully equipped kitchen, so we're pushing out made-to-order food. And something new is the space can be rented out for private events on non-event nights. So it's nice to have another space within the city for businesses to rent out for private events. 2024 was a busy year for our team in the community. A few things to highlight. In August, we hosted the Barry Manilow Show, and as part of his event and partnering with the Manilow Music Project, we donated $2,500 to a Dulles High School music educator, on top of the $7,500 that was donated by the foundation. So he walked away with $10,000, which was a nice gift for a local educator. In April, we continued our annual contribution to the Sugar Land Arts Fest to purchase and display 4 more murals inside of Smart Financial Center. We now have 8 beautiful, vibrant murals featured inside the venue, curated by local artists. In July, Hurricane Beryl came through our city, and Smart Financial Center, alongside the city, jumped into action, and we opened up the venue as a cooling center. Between Wednesday and Thursday, we hosted around 1,000 people, and it was nice to be a place of refuge for everyone in the city for a few days. And then we donated over $10,000 in ticket donations to local charities. Looking ahead to 2025, we're projecting 127 total events. That's made up of 113 music and comedy and other ticketed events, plus 8 theatrical and 6 private events. estimating around 370,000 attendees. We're at 62 confirmed events so far, so our confirmation rate is on pace to hit these numbers. We'll do 30 million in ticket sales and a continued diverse lineup of acts, some listed out there. Excited for Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Heart's doing well, Santana, and we just announced John Legend today, which is a great artist for our city, previously played the Woodlands. And tonight's a bit bittersweet for me. It's my last meeting with you all as the GM of Smart Financial Center. I'll be moving on for a new opportunity. So with that, I wanted to sort of introduce our leadership team. Lori Hotz is our CEO of ATG Entertainment. She joined the team in December and is already making a positive impact. She's been to the venue twice so far, has met some of you, and we're really looking forward to where she's taking this company. Rainier Connors is our Vice President of Regional Venues, and he's based out of San Francisco, but he has great experience, has been with the company for 17 years, and will continue to lead Smart Financial Center into the future. JT Silva, who's here with me today, is our Deputy GM. JT has been the DGM for Smart for 5 years, knows the business inside and out, knows most of you as well, and he'll continue to ensure that Smart Financial Center flourishes into the future. And I just want to take a moment to thank you all for your continued support, both personally and professionally. It's been an honor to work with each of you. And yeah, just thank you.
Elise, thank you. I mean, it has been, since you've been there, and I think we've kind of talked a little bit about that at the State of the City, but I mean, I think you've done an extraordinary job. And I think the way that you've represented Ambassador Theater Group and the City of Sugar Land, first, foremost, and always, it's been the City of Sugar Land. We appreciate all you've done. Wish you, Stu, and your daughter all the best. And we'll see you around.
Yep.
NRG is not too far away.
Not too far, and I'm still a Sugar Land resident, so I'll see you all.
JT, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Elise. Any questions? Go ahead.
Let me off easy.
More of a comment than a question, I think. I love the improvements you guys have made to the inside of Smart Financial, outstanding. But the number I don't think anyone went, and they should have, is your gross ticket sales. These are incredible numbers, and these all go back to paying for our city, and wow. So I just had to say, wow. I mean, the numbers are incredible. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, absolutely. Every ticket has sales tax associated with it, which comes back to our city and people traveling into the city. And I think that it speaks to the quality of programming that we have at the venue. We can generate a higher ticket price versus some of the other venues in the market. So it's a testament to the quality of the venue and the artists that we can bring in. Yep.
Thank you, Elise.
Thanks.
Item number 4B, review of and discussion on the fire department fiscal year 2024 annual report. We've got our chief, Mark Campisi. Mark, and you've got a big team of your guys. They're right there front and center.
Just a couple.
Why don't you bring them down and have them sit at the front row rather than at the back?
Hey, I asked for the front row. They're not in the back row, so let's be happy with
okay?
let's be happy with where they're at, right?
All right, there we go.
Fair enough. Mayor and council and everyone present tonight, thank you so much. I'm excited to share with you 2024, and you are in for a treat because it's not 6 o'clock yet, and it's my turn to talk. You guys will be home by 7:30. I'm kidding. I was threatened with my probationary status as the fire chief to make this short and sweet. So before we get started, I do want to go back and point out to the crews that are here tonight, can you guys help me just appreciate them for everything they do? It's not often that we can get them to sit still that long because this is kind of a peak time of the day for us. And so you guys always see them come in at 5:30 and then get dispatched right back out. So I'm appreciative for them to be able to be here. Also, if you work in the administration division of the fire department, will you please stand? Thank you. So tonight, a lot of what we're going to talk about is what's going on in operations and uniformed personnel. But I would be remiss if I didn't recognize this group of individuals that truly makes everything tick for us and keeps most of us firemen and uniformed guys in the right path and on the right road. So let me get us moving here. So before I kick this off, I'll promise not to be too long. I wanted to share something I shared at the fire department banquet that we had back in October. I got a few minutes to speak with the department and with everybody present. And so some of y'all heard this before, but I hit him with a quote from Chief Eversole from the Chicago Fire Department. And Chief Eversole said that the Chicago Fire Department responds to 1,120 calls for service per day. And how many calls for service do you think the citizens expect perfection on? 1,120. Nobody says, hey, send me 3 dumb guys in a pickup truck. In 3 minutes, they expect 5 to 6 decathlon trained brain surgeon level people to show up and take care of their emergency. That's who we are as a fire department. We don't run that many calls a day, but that's what I want our fire department to be and where I think we can be and we're already striving to be. And so keeping that in mind, performance, being prepared to perform is one of our utmost focal points as we go forward. So let's get off into this. Operations, kind of the first thing. A lot of the things that you guys have seen historically have been fire and EMS. And we're one fire department. And that's why the first slide started with one uniform every emergency. We're the Sugar Land Fire Department, and these guys and girls do every bit of everything in between, right? And so nobody is split, only one duty versus the other. And so as we roll into this, we look at a lot of our numbers the same. We get into operations. You guys like to see kind of where we were this year. What you're looking at there is about 13,000 total incidents for the year. 8,600 of them are EMS. 3,400 of them about are fire calls. And so whenever we look at that, what's important to you? It's a 5% increase from 23. And so if we look back the last 4 years, it was about 20%. And so we're on a steady 5% increase when it comes to our call volume and where we're moving as an organization. And so the next thing we like to look at is response times, right? Everybody wants to know how fast can we get there? How long is it taking you to get here? And these are average numbers. And you've seen those a few different ways. One of the things we're doing in 25 is kind of realigning to make sure that we're measuring with the industry standard in percentiles versus averages versus medians. So tonight I'm showing you the averages that you've seen before, an average response time of 8 minutes and 37 seconds. What that means to you is that's the first arriving unit. That could be an ambulance, that could be a fire truck, it could be a fire truck on an EMS call, it could be an ambulance on a fire call. Last week we came across a pretty significant fire that the ambulance was right around the corner, showed up there first. The crew had the equipment, they had the training, they had their gear, and they were able to take care of that fire before the fire truck got there. So there was a lot of ribbon going on. It's not what we do every day, but that's how we're prepared to perform. Some more numbers worth looking at. In 24, we spent a lot of time working on performance measures, right? You've heard that a lot from city staff when we're talking about our data and how we measure how good we are. And so these are some of the ones I want to share with you. And when you look at them, you might think, that doesn't look so great, Chief. But I'm sharing it with you to share with you like our vulnerabilities of like what we're looking at and where we're headed, right? And so what you're looking at here, you've heard before structure fire confined to the room of origin, right? We've talked about what percent of our fires are confined to the room of origin. We're at 70%. That's great. That's good for telling us that, early detection matters, 911, getting to the call, us deploying, that's very important. A couple of the other things we started looking at, and I know it's kind of all over the place, but water on fire and initiating a primary search. Water on fire is a measurement that we started to look at in 24 that tells us once we get there, how fast can we deploy? How fast do we stretch a line? How fast do we have all of our stuff on and we're ready to go to work and actually put water on the fire? Because it's not until you put the fire out that things start getting better on that side of our business, right? And so we're measuring that, and we're trying to measure that within 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes of setting the brake on the truck, we're fighting fire. And so it's a 42% measurement now. What we struggle with and we're working on is we're sharpening our pencil on how we capture that, right? Because it's new to us this year, expecting there's a lot of manual things that have to come into play. Our officers on the apparatus have to remember to call that out on the radio. Command, dispatch, water on fire. Dispatch is time stamping it for us. So there's a lot of things we're working through. And so I expect when we share these numbers with you next year, you're going to be even more pleased to see that they continue to increase. Back to that top left, initiating a primary search within 3 minutes of arrival. It's important that we search a building. It's important that we respond, and we've promised people that we'll come for them. We've promised them that we're here for them, that we initiate that primary search. This number looks lower than we'd like it to, but again, we're sharpening our pencil on our data. You'd be so surprised at how many times we show up to a residential fire and there's someone standing there saying, hey, we're all out. I got everybody here. And so we call that an all clear, and so we're not marking that, we're not timing that. But what we will do is we'll double check. And so the commander can go in and take a look and send a later unit to go do a search and follow up. And so our times look a little off on that. We're still working on it. I want to share it with you because it's that important that we measure water on fire in our primary searches. Level 0, y'all remember level 0? We've talked about that for the last couple of years. Level 0 is the number of times that we're out of ambulances because they're all committed to a call. They might be training, they might be at admin, but for the most part, those 5 ambulances are already committed to a call. And so we watch that all day, every day. We get alerts all day every time we hit a level 0. 35% of the time, we're at level 0. And so in the city of Sugar Land, we watch that very closely. And how do we monitor, how can we reduce that level 0? What are we doing with level 0? So in the past, showing you guys level 0 is just kind of an indicator. Now I want to share with you that we're starting to take a look at how can we reduce that? How can we bring that down? A lot of the times a crew is still at the hospital dropping off a patient, finishing their documentation, cleaning up, getting ready for the next call, and the next call is already holding. And so we're taking a close look at how often are we having to stop, quickly finish that call and move on to the next call. And what that means is we're not getting documentation done till later. We're taking care of the patient, we're dropping them off and getting them where they need to be, but then we're taking the next call. And so we're looking at that even closer to make sure that we're doing everything we can to minimize our level 0 times. Effective response force is something I'm really excited that we're starting to measure. I told you in the very beginning, first arriving unit gives us that average response time of 8.5 minutes, right? That's one truck. If your house is on fire, it takes more than one apparatus to handle that incident, right? So the effective response force, that's us measuring how long does it take us to get 19 people. 19 is the total number of people we have on our first alarm assignment. Between 5 apparatus, an ambulance, a chief, a captain, that's the effective response force. And so our national standards, NFPA tells us on single family residential dwellings, we need to be aiming at about the 14-minute mark with about 19 people. And so we watched that, we're at 85%, and that's a really good number for a city that has everything we have going for us. We're doing a really good job. We're gonna keep pushing. We watched deployment. We're gonna be working on a standards of coverage study to help us see how we can get that last little bit to 90 or even up to 95%. But effective response force is something to keep on your mind that we'll be talking a lot about in the future when we measure how good our department is. Whole blood, familiar with this? It's a great bragging point, and I'll tell you, we're front runners, and we continue to be front runners with our whole blood program. We implemented this back in May of 24. We talked about it. We wanted to do it. We were waiting on a partnership with Fort Bend County to kind of get it off the ground. Things weren't happening fast enough, and so the leadership of the department said, go. And so in 24 days, Chief Leverance didn't sleep much. I think he went home a couple of times, but got him and his team got us to where we needed to be with getting whole blood on our captain's vehicle and in the city ready to administer. 12 times we've administered whole blood in FY24. We've done it more since then, but we're just talking about 24 tonight. 12 times we've administered that blood, and what that equates to is just about once a week in that time period between May and when we ended the fiscal year, right? So just like level 0, just like everything else, that's great, we're measuring it, but what's next? And so we take a deeper look into whole blood and we start to look at the data that you have in front of you to see when are we using it? Where are we using it? How fast after we get on scene are we using it? If we're not able to get it there and give it, why not? And so we've just recently really got into this heavy, but we've started looking at these measurements here to help us understand our blood program. And so if you take a look at it, District 1, District 7, District 6, they take the heaviest amount of that, and a lot of that has to do with the facilities that are in those districts, whether it's the Kindred Hospital, whether it's District 6 getting on the freeway, getting on 59 and it's a traumatic injury or something like that. We're utilizing it kind of all over the place. You would think that's only a traumatic type of injury, right? Like a bleed. Well, 58% come from trauma, but the other 42 are a result of medical, right? Folks have GI bleeds, folks have falls. We've had some pregnancy emergencies that resulted in bleeds. And so we're using this stuff a lot. And it's great to see that we're kind of on the cusp of needing more. And where can we deploy it from next? When we talked in the past about we don't just save lives, we save the quality of life. When we look at whole blood, we know that 4 lives have been saved. We know for sure 4, and you're like, man, that was a lot of people, but 4, that's 4 lives that we saved, and we know that because we gave them blood. There's another 5 that we know got improved care because we got it to them sooner, and they got into the hospital with that, and it put them in a better condition to get through their treatment and to get home and have a better quality of life. And so it's awesome for us. Among the top 2% of U.S. fire departments, we're still leading. I should have sold all the advice that I gave my former department because they just launched last week. But people look to us for answers now. How are you guys doing it? What are y'all doing? Where are your successes? Where are your failures? Even our partners in Fort Bend County were finally able to get that launched after us. I think it might have helped a little friendly competition, right? But we got there, and so they're great partners with us as well. Shifting gears a little bit, some additions that we brought in to our organization. I was proud to be part of the command staff that promoted Chief Palmer. He's the battalion chief over administration and support services, and he's here tonight. He promoted from Engine 3 on the B shift, and so he's a homegrown, exactly how we want him, coming, bringing his leadership right up through the ranks into administration. And so he brings a great insight into what goes on in the streets to make sure he oversees logistics, make sure that the folks have all the stuff that they need. He's doing a lot of administrative work for us, especially now when it comes to the strategic planning initiatives the city is taking. He's doing a lot of work when it comes to our standards of coverage study, how we're going to spend the GO bond money, all those things. That's Chief Palmer's face that you're going to see on a number of those things. In 24, we also, Battalion Chief Schultz joined the team, and we stole him from Missouri City. And he was a great addition to our command staff. He came from as a training lieutenant, came over to be our training chief, and has done a great job. We framed a lot of things. We had a lot of great ideas, but once we put the right kind of talent in there to run with it, we've managed to take off. And so he's been awesome for us as well. He leads the training division himself, and he has a lieutenant assigned to him to help with that. Our organization for the next year and maybe a couple years, like we are a training organization. We are focused on being better. We're focused on being ready. And it's going to be at the hands of him driving the bus for us to get us where we need to be. So he was a great asset to spotlight tonight. More of what he's done when it comes to some of that training, if we're talking about the hours that we put in and we're talking about the Texas Commission on Fire Protection says we have to train a certain amount. The Department of State Health Services says that we have to train a certain amount. ISO, for our accreditation, we have to maintain, and we want to grow that, increase that. We have to keep up with certain training hours. And so there it is in front of you. From the 140 people in the fire department last year, we logged 31,679 hours of training. That's logged. I don't doubt that there's things happening on the apparatus floor. There's conversations happening when we leave a call that's good quality training that just isn't getting captured either. But for our documentation, this is where we're at. Fire and EMS breaks down their leadership, officer, administrative. Our new recruits, we spent about 3,000 hours with those 10 folks this last year. That's huge. Fire prevention has work that they do, things they have to keep standards up to as well. They're also police officers. So here comes T-Cole with some requirements on them as well. A number of things that we work through when it comes to training. A couple of three of these that we really want to highlight this last year, we were finally able to get off the ground. We have kind of coined the phrase, every employee deserves great leadership. Every employee deserves great leadership, a great supervisor, a great mentor, a great coach, and a good place to work, right? And so part of that comes from this officer development comes from that idea right there, is that we should be grooming our officers and training them as best they can be so every employee can have a great leader. And so what you're looking at there is the first offering of our leadership and officer development. That group on the left of your screen was the first 12 in this class. We did it back in the fall. We ran a 3-month program. We did like a 3-day, a 2-day, and then a 3-day. And that was the first the first edition of that. We brought in some rock stars in the fire service to talk leadership with these folks. We brought in an attorney that has a lot of experience in public safety with the do's and don'ts and how to manage people and all the HR kind of stuff that we see a lot of. Came in and talked, and then we put a number of our leaders through the ringer. And man, our chief officers and some of our lieutenants really shined in that program. And then we had some officers in that program already, and so getting their experience back out into the conversation has been tremendous for our organization. So that's a big training initiative that we'll keep going in the fire department. The center one there, incident command and strategy. It's been a number of years since the Sugar Land Fire Department really focused on incident management when it comes to training. Like, how do we arrive on a scene, set up that incident from a command standpoint, manage the resources, manage the incident to make it all better, right? It's time to revamp that. We're not doing it wrong. We just have some outdated practices that we want to revisit. And so in the county, a number of the fire departments around us, we all respond together, we work together. There's been a buzz that we need to talk about this. We need to get this going and get this up to date. Well, we took the lead with it. So we're running out in front again. We have some chief officers that have dove in and read a lot of nationwide adopted material, and we're working on rebuilding our incident management practices as they go. You couple that with, you heard from our friends at PD last week about the Active Violence Command Lab. That's another aspect of that incident command where we're working together in partnership to make sure that we're ready for those kind of emergencies. So that's another big aspect that training has weighing on them to make sure they have to deliver. We have to be better. The third picture there, the regional training hub. We want to be the front runners. We want to be the place where everyone comes to. The citizens are approving, through GO bond, the dollars for our public safety training complex. And we're all in on getting that design and getting that up to speed. That was an example. That's out at the warehouse there at the complex that we've used. We did a large Mayday training, probably had like 12 to 15 other departments come join us over a number of days and just ran through firefighter down scenarios. If that happens to us, heaven forbid something like that happens, other fire departments are going to be in this city helping us manage it. So we should all be training together. And we should be using the same language, using the same terminology, and understand each other's capabilities. That training complex we just talked about, this is what you're familiar with, phase one, the Connex structures, you guys have seen them out there. We have put this complex to use tremendously. It is being used more now than ever. And so I would challenge you that any day that you want to stop by out there, you might have to wait a few minutes for a train, but you're going to see a fire crew coming through there. So I swung through there on a Saturday night at 6 o'clock, and there was 2 crews out there training Saturday night at 6 o'clock. They get it in when they can, between calls and between everything else they need to do. But having that facility is a game changer for us and having the capability. So phase 2 is just about finished there in the center. That's the building that to the far end of that picture is the police simunition area. And then towards the end, you're looking at there is some of our apparatus bay. And Chief Schultz has tremendous training plans ready to go for that building as soon as they give us the keys and we can get in there. So the third phase, the Class A burn buildings, that's Round Rock Fire Department. That's their Class A burn buildings. And so that's just a concept of what you can expect to see out there. The generosity of the GO bond is really going to shine for us on these Class A burn buildings and this next phase. I'm excited. There's a great budget to work with there and to give us the opportunity to do some realistic training, like exactly what these men and women see when they roll up to some of the bigger houses and bigger commercial buildings that we have in this city. So I'm really excited about moving forward. All that training, I spoke to Chief Schultz, Lieutenant Calverley, but we've established a training cadre of about 16 employees through the organization that, aside from working their shifts and aside from their family life, they're giving extra to the fire department to develop training, to come deliver training, and to be part of that training hub that keeps us going down the road. Community risk reduction. Used to be the prevention division, right? If you guys remember that a few weeks ago, we put out a memo, we rebranded to the community risk reduction. It's time to move forward and see that there's so many more things that our department is doing, but we didn't really recognize it because we maybe weren't even calling it the right thing. So what used to be the prevention division still is. There's still investigator inspectors doing all the work that they've done when it comes to code and everything else. but we've moved Captain Bowerman and his shop of community engagement into that division with Chief Serrano. And so some of the things that we've been seeing are great are only going to be amplified to be that much better next year as we go. And so when it comes to encouraging community engagement, we're there, right? When we see the citizen satisfaction surveys, like we're usually number one. I think we're always number one, okay? They love what we do, but like that doesn't mean that we get a free pass. We owe it to the citizens to deliver. And so Citizens Fire Academy, we had the largest class ever last year, 27. We usually have 40 people, 40 applications that we have to weed through for that. I mean, if we had the manpower and the capacity, we could probably be doing more of them. They'll throw rocks at me for offering that, but it's great for us to have that much interest in our organization. The 28,000 people attending fire community events, when someone signs up to ask the fire department to come to their event or to come visit the fire department, we ask them to tell us about how many people they can expect or we should expect to see. And that's where the 28,000 comes from. Sometimes it's more. Sometimes we show up. Sometimes we invite, a birthday party to the station and they're only bringing 15, but they manage to find 20 other friends to bring with them, And so our next steps as we progress is we got a new software system that we're looking to work on that after that event's over, a company officer can go in there and say exactly how many people were there. And so again, it's just us sharpening the pencil on all these things that we're measuring. Overall, it was a 4% increase in the number of people that we're getting to every year. So some of the other things we do, the Red and Blue Foundation has been tremendous for us. We took in a great donation from them the last couple of years. In FY24, remember, that's what gave us blood. That's what nudged us over the edge to get those last few pieces of equipment to get us running, and that was our big win. Some training props. The fire marshal's office was able to get some new weapons and a number of other things that directly benefit and enhance what the city's already doing for us. And so we love that partnership with them. Social media, you should see a push or recognize that it's getting to be more and more, and we're out there, we're doing that, and we're measuring that too. Like, are we doing it in the right places? What do people respond well to? But our education stuff, like we should not just be bragging on ourselves, we should be presenting education to the community. And so that's part of their focus going forward. And then the new volunteer community educator program, again, an effort to enhance and try to leverage some community folks who want to help us out. We established a volunteer program where folks go through the background process with the city, and then they're assigned to the fire department and they're part of this team. And we're going to utilize them to help get us out there and do more of that education. So that's brand new. Next year, we'll be sharing with you what some demographics look like. That was a great partnership with the Department of Innovation here in the city. They gave us some seed money to get that program going. And so we have some metrics that we have to meet with that to ensure that that's sustainable and then it goes forward. The last one on the community engagement side of things we want to brag on, the public safety extravaganza. If you don't remember where that all came from, I'll walk you through a quick timeline of that. In 2008, we had fire department open house. You go all the way back, that's a picture of it there. Just the fire department, the fire marshals, and emergency manager was all part of the fire department. And so we started with that. And of course, like everything, it's not good enough. We have to make it bigger. And so we did, before my time here, but we did a number of open house for many, many years. And in 2019, we said, let's make this big. Let's make it the public safety extravaganza. And so we moved out to the First Colony Mall parking lot. We invited our friends from PD, CFA, Fort Bend County, the EMS department, the county fire marshals, all those folks have been a part of that. And that thing just keeps growing, right? Public Works is getting in there. 22, when we brought it back, is when we saw a bigger boom with that. And then all the way up to what we just experienced in 24 at the Tallier Brewing Company. And so this is something that I think we should all be very proud of, because it wasn't just the fire department doing that. We're tying into the community. We're tying into economic development there. Tallier Brewery had their record sales day that day because of fire trucks and police cars and public works and everything that was out there to attract folks in there. And so it just keeps getting bigger. We invited dispatch and courts this last year. And so I'm proud of the work that the fire department does to keep this thing growing and the partnerships that we've established along the way so that everybody that's playing in has a major hand in it. It's pretty awesome. On the inspection side of things, we talk about, how does this contribute to the city? Like, let's look at the economic growth. Chief Serrano and Chief Kugler are the ones that do all the plan reviews for new construction. And so, you know, over the course of the year, they did about 2,400 plan reviews, and that's a lot for a couple of guys to be doing. But the valuation of what they're touching and what they're approving is over $2 million. And so lots of square footage, lots of new construction inspections, and when it's all said and done, the dollar signs could be way larger than that, because that's just the inception of the project, right, when it first starts. And so they're doing some great work over there. Almost to the end tonight. Data in action, we originally called this like innovation. And when we talk about innovation in the fire department, I think a lot of people think that innovation is just something for the tech world. It's definitely for the fire department. When we see a problem that we're not sure why it is or what it is, we need to go figure out a better way to do it or truly understand what it is that we're doing. And so we've put a number of metrics in place. These numbers aren't exactly accurate. This is just a snippet from the dashboard we're working from today. But for our fire marshals, you know, I told you Chief Cougar and Chief Serrano do a lot of plan review. But what about inspections? What about investigations? The rest of the plan reviews that come into play, we're measuring all that stuff. We want to look at every little piece of it to make sure that we're most efficient with our time and that we're turning the product quickly to the city. Citizens will tell you they appreciate how quick we turn those projects. And sometimes they take up to 2 weeks, but we get them out as fast as we can. But we measure to make sure that we're on the right track. We recognize that the way we deploy to some fires is not... we wanted to grow our techniques, right? We wanted to do more specific work if you're working on a ladder truck, more specific work if you're working on an engine, and then we want to make sure that we're addressing the needs of the community wherever that district is. So resource deployment for I don't know how many years, many years, most all years maybe, Station 2 had a ladder truck in the industrial district out there, and then there was Engine 7 at Station 7. When we take a look at when a ladder truck shows up, how long it takes an engine, a fire engine, to show up behind them, ladder 2 was averaging about 5.5 minutes by themselves before an engine would show up. If we're expecting ladder truck crews to be more specialized in search and rescue and ventilation and those type of things, I need a fire engine showing up to fight fire quicker. That ladder truck can fight fire, and they will fight fire if they have to. But if we can make a tweak with our deployment, we can be more efficient with the men that are stepping off that truck, the men and the women are stepping off that truck. And so we made a big switch. We looked at all the data, and we moved the ladder truck to Station 7 and the engine out to 2s. And part of that also fed off of our work on being prepared for high-rise deployment for fires, and then also what we call big box structures, right? So your big warehouses and things like that. A fire engine is better suited to be equipped to be the first arriving to go to work on some of those incidents. So just another example of putting that data to work. Medication usage, again, we keep the truck stocked. Do we have enough on the truck? Is it too much? Are we spending too much money stocking things that aren't getting used in a timely manner? And so we looked at like 3 of our medications and drilled through that as well. Started tracking them, identified some inefficiencies. We bought a new ambulance, and it really took us, like, instead of putting $6,000 of stuff in it, we realized we could get away with only putting 4. And I probably shouldn't use that language, get away with it. Like, it's well above the state minimums, and it meets our needs as we go on. So there's no reason to be, not using the resources the way we should. What Works Cities? You guys know we got the award here in the city. We were one of 4, maybe 5 city departments that they brought What Works City to look at. Come check us out, see what we're doing. We were doing data like when it wasn't cool, like we were already measuring things, right? We were pulling all this stuff in. We have so much data that we've had a great year just trying to put it all in the right line and measure all the right things, right? We established those benchmarks I talked about: water on fire, primary search, extrication started, extrication complete. We did all these things operationally, and then we pull all that and we start to analyze it and truly figure out where it's at. The way we do that work was satisfying and rewarding when it came to What Works Cities, and ultimately the city getting its award. We're not the only reason, but I like to think that we had a great hand in what we were doing. So as I leave you tonight, challenges and opportunities. Recruitment and retention on the minds of everybody in all of public safety and probably all of municipalities. This is where our administration division really kicks it in the rear for us. The department successes we've had, we established relationship managers that when a firefighter or a candidate applies, to come work here, we're pushing that information out. We're calling them. Hey, we saw you applied. We're having a test on this day. We can't wait to see you. Can I answer any questions? A number of those things are helping get those people who apply to actually show up and test. Because there's just not a lot of paramedics out there, or firefighter paramedics that either one, there's not a lot of them, period, but two, if they're already working somewhere, it's hard to get them to leave. You guys did us very great last summer with the compensation plan, and that's helped us tremendously. But like, we can't let the foot off the gas, and we can't not pay attention to recruitment, and we can't not pay attention to retention. So we still do this whole thing in about 5 days. We've managed to take talent from other organizations that they were in a process because we're on top of our game, and so we'll keep on doing that as we go forward. Some of my areas of concern when it comes to next year, the focus areas that I really want to get at is some of these response times. When I talk to you about averages versus percentiles, and watching level 0 and understanding how that affects our EMS response time, getting all of these performance measures really smoothed up where we want them to be, so that we know that we're measuring exactly what we should be measuring, and so we can train and improve exactly where we need to train and improve. The GO bond projects, it's good to us. It's really good to us, but we have a lot of work to do to look at standards of coverage studies. Where Station 2 is to get rebuilt right where it's at? Does it need to be moved a little bit? How do we get the new apparatus on order? All of those things. And then leadership changes, right? Myself included, but there should be some promotions we expect to come behind me, because I believe that we have all the talent we need inside of our organization. So we'll be looking internal for promotions and not worrying about looking outside. Community risk reduction, I'm going to make sure that's more than just a name change. We're gonna do a lot of great things in the community. We're going to work with the strategic plan, our partners, our chief trailblazers, and make sure that everything we're doing is aligned with the rest of the city. And then overall, our training. Like I told you, we're a training organization, and so make sure we have everybody in the right place to get that training accomplished. What's coming next? Mission, vision, values. It's time to rehash that for the fire department. They're not going to be my mission, not going to be my vision or values. It's going to be the men and women of the organization. Like, we're going to go through a process over the next few months of them having a voice and them speaking up, and then them putting it together and bringing it back to the command staff to say, this is who we are. The city has vision and values reestablished. We have a new strategic action plan. We're going to rebuild our strategic action plan to align with all of that and keep on going down the road. Sound good?
Sounds good.
It's not 7:30. I got a little video for you, and I'll give you some question times. Is it good?
The men and women of the Sugar Land Fire Department take pride in serving our community. We are trained to fight fire, provide emergency medical care, and perform when lives are on the line. Being a Sugar Land firefighter means being ready, no matter the call. Working 48-hour shifts, we staff fire engines, ladder trucks, and medic units. One day, we're on the medic. The next, we're on the fire truck. But every shift, we stand ready for anything. Excellence is our standard. Our firefighters maintain dual certifications in fire and EMS, but training doesn't stop there. Being an all-hazards agency means we prepare for any eventuality, including vehicle extrication, rope rescue, bike response, and water rescues. Because readiness is the key to saving lives.
Medic 608, Engine 1, Op 1, Medic 2, Engine 2, Engine 3, Battalion 1, Ladder 7, Staff Engine 24 for District 2 residential fire. All units switch to TAC 1, all units switch to TAC 1.
right, just a little showcase in case my presentation wasn't good. The video was real good.
Questions from council members? William?
So last night, I had the opportunity to speak to a whole house full of retired school teachers. And as I walked out, they said one of our school teachers was just in an accident at the end of the street, about 6 houses away. And I jogged down there, and sure enough, a young man had hit her, and her airbags deployed, and it was a mess, right? You guys are so good. I called dispatch. Dispatch within minutes had the street covered with all of your teams.
Awesome.
The police and fire last night I was so proud. I think I probably said how proud I was 30 times. I got phone calls today about you guys. You guys are exceptional.
Thank you.
I wish I could even say, oh, you should have been something more. You're exceptional.
Yeah.
And our city absolutely loves you guys. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, thank you for all the support. Appreciate it.
Carol, and then Jennifer.
Yeah. So getting Whole Blood launched in only 24 days last year was quite an impressive accomplishment. And congratulations on being in the top 2% of fire departments in the country. And you guys do an incredible job. So thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Jennifer.
Just a comment of good work of your leadership program that you're doing, and also including all the feedback from all of the employees and defining that vision,
Awesome.
mission of the organization. That's extremely important to get that information from the front lines. Now you're the big cheese to, bottom up communication is extremely important. So congratulations, and I hope you guys are very successful with that.
Thank you. It was a great first run pilot program, and so great that other departments have said, hey, can I send a couple of guys to that? And so I'll just figure out what the ticket cost, and we'll let you come on in.
Chief, what do you need from us?
Just keep supporting us where you're at. I think we like I said, we're very blessed with the GO bond. We got a lot of projects in front of us. I think with the new stuff that the city organization has taken on with the strategic action plan, a lot of those things align with where we were headed already. And so I don't want to speak for them. I visit fire stations as often as I can, and they know that you guys support them. So just, your outward support and being there for us is where we need to be.
Chief, I know I speak for the council and for the city manager, for Mike, Jim Calloway as an assistant city manager. If there's something, we're getting ready to come into the budget process.
Yes, sir.
So, and as we come into that process, I know you guys do it from the ground up. That's the time that's the time for ask.
Yes, sir.
And to make sure to your point, make sure we take it to the next level.
Yep.
Always looking to take it to the next level. Congratulations.
All right. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate
Thank y'all. Item number 5, City Council City Manager reports. 5A, Council Member reports. William, start with you.
Mayor, I feel like I do about 7 appointments a day. I have no report.
Okay. Jennifer.
I've been enjoying spring break, so no report, Mayor.
Wow. Suzanne.
All right, I have just one I'm going to go with because I know there's going to be some others on this one. Spaghetti dinner. I want to thank everybody who supported the Exchange Club. Fire and police, you guys rocked. You both donated ride-alongs. I'm going to say somebody here probably got one. But thank you guys. Even in that capacity, you're out there supporting our community, so thank you very much.
Stuart.
Thank you, Mayor. Saturday, I attended a car show that was in the Telfair area, right out in front of the HEB, just a catty corner from the HEB, and that was a lot of fun, and it seemed to be pretty well attended. And I attended the Houston Galveston Area Council monthly meeting.
That was pretty exciting.
That was indeed. I'm bringing it home, baby.
Carol.
Well, one of my 10-year-old constituents, Georgie Dawson, won the Young Artist Concerto competition. Boy, get those C's out there. And anyway, she got to perform on her violin, accompanied by the Houston Civic Orchestra. So that was exciting to see her first debut with an orchestra. And I was the guest speaker at an International Women's Day event, and I hosted a Credo packaging at Smart Financial Center.
Sean.
And no report, Mayor.
And I'm going to yield my time. Jim, city manager report.
No report, Mayor.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn at 6:35.
Nice job on Ken Hall.
Well, you were the one, I didn't know he passed away. You picked up on it. I've got a proclamation.